a week before he had told me, when I die, don't lie. Hii maneno ya watu kusema kati alikuwa mzuri sana, don't say nothing like that about me. Because I've messed up people's lives. I've messed up my wife's life. I've messed my daughter's life. I've messed up everybody's life. Use my funeral as a platform to educate people. And that's exactly what we did. And when we buried my brother, 5 people went to rehab. Because we said exactly what killed my brother. It was drugs and alcohol. We never sugarcoated any information. We never said it was short illness, because that's what people say. When you die, you've been using drugs, you've been using alcohol, you baptize that death as short illness. No, let us say what it is, as it is. And I tell people, alcohol addiction is like pregnancy. You can only hide it for a while. You can't hide it forever. My name is Mathu. I am a recovering alcoholic. I've been sober for 21 years. And I am a proud recovering alcoholic, by the way. 20 years of uninterrupted sobriety. And I'm here to share my story, to give hope to people, to families, to the individuals who are struggling, and to tell you that substance use disorder, it's a brain disease, and actually it's treatable, although it's not curable. And I hope my story, or whatever I'm going to say, is going to inspire a person or two. It's going to give hope to a person who has lost hope, because there is a way out. A person with a substance use disorder is only down but not out. With treatment and rehabilitation, they can spring back to life and become productive members of the society. In today's session, I want to talk a little bit about my brother, who went by the nickname Jesus. Because a lot of people have been asking, what happened to Jesus? What happened to Jesus? Jesus was my buddy. He was my partner in crime. He gave me hope. He rescued me when I was in terrible situations. Although, again, he was my enabler, because whenever I didn't have money, he would buy the alcohol for me. He defended me every time that I was in trouble. He was my best man in my wedding. And unfortunately, he passed away about 7 years ago. And it's at times when I talk about him, I feel the weight. I feel the weight of his loss, because I believe if he was here today, he would still be with me talking about addiction, because we were more of like twins, although there was an age difference of about 4 or 5 years. But whatever I say about my brother, I hope it will help somebody out there, and know that some people can manage to get sober, others might not make it. But don't give up on them. You'd rather they don't make it, but you've tried, other than they don't make it and you've done nothing. And I feel good when people reach out to me and say, I have a drinking problem, I have a drug problem, I've been rejected by the family. And then, because this is all about giving people hope. And many people ask me, why do you really talk so much about your past? You talk about very personal things. I said, that's my past, because I don't live there anymore. If I lived there, I wouldn't be talking about it. But I don't live there anymore. So I laugh at my past. I laugh at my past. Because if I didn't come out publicly, when I did in 2005 and 7, I don't think anybody else would have come out, especially women. And women have been struggling. So most of the people who have been calling me are actually women. And husbands, that my wife is suffering from this and drug addiction, marijuana addiction, and all that. So I've been able to refer them to treatment facilities. I've been able to refer even counselors going to check on them, because we do reach out to people, even in their homes and even in their comfort zones. So if a person really is ever in the bar and you want to do an intervention, and the only place you can get him is in the bar, I will walk into that bar and talk to him while he drinks. Because the person who took me to rehab, and the person who gave me hope, and the person who reached out to me, found me in the Changatin. I didn't go to him he came to me. When a person is addicted to alcohol, and when they've not taken alcohol, they cannot hear what you're talking about. The attention span is 15 minutes. And that's why they have to drink in able to be able to function. Ndio wanasemaga natoa lock. So, you time. When they're undergoing withdrawals, they can never listen to you. Why? Because the brain is so focused on their next drug of choice. So if you go to the bar at 7, go there at 9. When he's not drunk and the withdrawals have ceased, then that time you can have a conversation with this person. Because why did he go to the bar or to the den that early? That tells automatically that he cannot function without that drug of choice. That says he's an addict already. He's in the 4th stage of addiction or the 5th stage of addiction. And again, he wants to run away from the people who've rejected him. So he'll wake up before anybody else wakes up. When you people are having tea, he'll take off. Because everybody is on his case, like, look at yourself, what you've become, we don't even think you're part of us, especially even siblings. So they feel out of place and they want to run as far as possible and to go to places where they are accepted. They'll go to their peers, they're drinking peers, they're smoking peers, they're injecting peers, because that's where they're accepted, that's where they are seen as human beings. The so-called good people need to understand that a person with an alcohol or substance use disorder is a very sick person who needs professional help. Let us not judge them. Let us not judge them. The best thing you can do is to help them. Be close to them. And then let's separate drugs from the person. Let's separate addiction from the person. Let's separate alcohol from the person closing on alcoholism, which is the disease. Because you hear people say, when he has not drunk, he's very good. So what is the problem here? The problem here is the behavior brought about by his drug of choice. So the person is good, and that's why I love using the person-centered approach and the positive psychology, bringing out the good in this person. And even when I do an intervention, we don't focus on the drug of choice. We focus on the behavior brought about by this drug. So then this person knows, okay, so it is the behavior which is annoying the people. So if we should understand all these aspects and look at this person as an individual, as a person, as a brother, as a son, as a granddaughter, as a grandson, as a cousin, and not an alcoholic, then we'll be able to help this person. But the moment we reject them, the moment we see like they are failures, an addict is not a failure. A person with substance use disorder is not a failure. They are only down but not out. With treatment and rehabilitation, they can spring back to life. The campaign against alcohol and drug abuse is two-pronged. We have supply suppression, we have demand reduction. We can suppress the supply, but more often than not, it creates room for cross-addiction. Supply suppression is like what Nakada has been doing. Tunaenda kwa kijiji, tunamwaga pombe, tunafuata hii second generation alcoholic drinks and arresting people. Tunaenda tunatafuta consignment ya bangi, inawekwa police station. But it's good. But personally, as a recovering alcoholic, I do more of demand reduction because I'm not an expert. I'm not a police officer on that side of supply suppression because it needs a lot of intelligence and all that to get to those points. So what I do, I'm more on the demand reduction side. So demand reduction, again, is two-pronged. Prevention, and then there is treatment and rehabilitation. So in prevention, that is where we do public awareness, public education, and advocacy. And then in treatment and rehabilitation, which is the curative side, is where we do now the treatment, rehabilitation. It can be outpatient or it can be inpatient. That is now where we do the program, the detox, and then the program, we have different approaches. And but personally, I love using the person-centered approach. And this is where we do the exit planning if a person is in the rehab, where the whole family is involved. We have family therapy, we have couple counseling, we have child therapy, and then individual therapy, group therapy, and all that. And then aftercare, after doing the exit planning, there's reason to follow up on the client for about 6 months. How is he doing? Is he having any cravings? Is he having, has he gotten a job? Is he accepted by the family? Has he been rejected? Because most often the first 6 months are very critical. And at times you'll find a client coming back to the rehab and saying, I've not been accepted by my family, and it's a trigger. Already I can feel rejected. So this happens when you invite the family members for therapy and they don't come. So when this person leaves the rehab, they treat him the same way they treated him when he was in active addiction. So that's my stand. Prevention and treatment and rehabilitation. Because if we don't do those two, that's why you find families actually stigmatizing the person with a substance use disorder because they don't have the knowledge. They don't understand the disease concept of addiction. But if we do more awareness, creating awareness, if we do more on that, even through media, through what, and families know, kumbe, our son doesn't it's not all about wanting to drink. He is suffering and he needs our help. They need to understand that. So if we don't create awareness, if we don't do public education, if we don't advocate for people in substance abuse to be helped, if we don't push the county governments to come up with county-funded rehabilitation centers, because not everybody can afford to go to rehab. Most of the rehabs in Kenya are private. So the only government treatment facilities we have is Miritini, that which is under Nakada, and Moi Referral in Eldoret. Then the county-funded treatment facilities are only 6. So you can imagine how many people, young people, who are suffering from substance use disorders. Very many. And that's why you see even the suicide cases, it has risen so badly. So many young people are committing suicide because of lack of self-worth, lack of support from family members. And these people, again, because of lack of public education and advocacy, they don't even know that we have support groups like Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Sex Anonymous, Gambling Anonymous. It's called Debt Anonymous. We have these physical meetings and online meetings whereby you can join such a support group. You know, when you're rejected by everybody else, this is one place where you'll be accepted by everybody. And that is why now I was so close to my brother, because my brother seemed to be the only person who understood me. And yet my brother was also another one who was having the same disorder as I, but he was a protective, very protective person to me. And he was also my enabler. He was also my enabler because at least he used to get more money than me. And then he had things to sell. Me, I'd sold all of mine, but him, still had things to sell. So when we go to the Gardens, at least he would have some money. And he protected me from everybody else. And then again, the way we had been raised, my father having been an alcoholic, we were raised to be tough in life. That you have to protect your space. You have to be very territorial. And you don't give up in a fight. You'd rather die in one. That's what my dad used to tell me. So we grew up knowing fighting is cool. Fighting is protecting your space. Fighting is protecting you. Fighting is, this is my space. I mean, who are you to come into my space without my permission? And we grew up knowing that, and that's what we became. Defending one another, even when we were children, even in school. You don't beat up my sister and I keep quiet. I'll come and hunt you down. Why did you beat my sister? So even when we grew up and we were in the same space now of addiction with my brother, he became that protective person around me Even when we went to the Changaden, nobody could touch me because my brother was crazy. He was, like he used to take a lot of marijuana, and his marijuana used to show him that you should fight and I think protect your sister. So anybody like who came and we crossed paths, my brother would beat them on. My brother, Jesus, as we call him, Jesus, actually that name he was given in the Changaden, I told you, because he was a very generous person. So when he was young, he was a very bright boy, very hilarious. He was full of jokes. And he started from me. My second-born brother is very calm, very quiet, and he was a mommy's boy. So is that kind of a boy or a child who is ever following the mother. He was tagging onto my mother's skirt throughout. Day and night, even when he was big, even he has built a house next to my mom's. So me and my other brother, we are, that happy-go-lucky guys, eh? And we were very naughty. My brother, you could look for him for 2 hours. Huh? Yani ametoka kwetu ameenda 3 houses down the line na amelala chini ya gari ya mtu. He was just a wild kid, even when he was young. And most of the times I used to be beaten because of him. Me being the firstborn. So you being the firstborn, your mom is not there. She comes back, mtoto ako wapi? You don't even know. Shons, you could not know when he leaves the house or when he's in the house. He could be in the house but doing crazy stuff. When he's quiet, everybody is worried because that time we had spring beds. He's maybe somewhere under the bed, try to removing the coils of the bed or something. So he wanted to know, why is this screw here and not here? What if I remove this and he's under somebody's car? So you can imagine, you come into that car, start the car and move. He can easily get injured. But that was his life. He would even dig a hole in the compound and put water, go and sit inside the mud. That him is at Blue Post. The Blue Post was the in thing then. It was the biggest hotel Thika, which had a swimming pool and Thika Sports Club. So he's made his own pool and he's basking there. And then my mom now would come and beat me. By the time he was doing all this, where were you? You see? And then maybe I was somewhere now playing with other kids also. But my other brother is just in the house and my mom will find him in the house. He will got to go play football with other kids. But don't forget, he also became an alcoholic. And he's the first in the family to drink changa. This quiet one. Because when we go dancing, even up till today, he doesn't know how to dance. Me and my brother, when we are going to the discos, in our teenage, he would not go. He's left with the mother. As we are going through the window and coming back in through the window, he's the one opening for us the windows. And then the good thing with these crazy kids, you know what they think, you know what they do, you can read their minds. This quiet one, you don't know what he's thinking about, you don't know what he's planning, and you know nothing. So even when my brother, my other Jesus and I were smoking, my brother was not in the group now of smokers and other cousins who are smoking. He would smoke once in a while, but he's the one who is looking whether your mom is coming. He's the one now looking out. Kama Madhe anakuja, so that he can whistle, then we can know Madhe is coming. When we are making muratina in the cow shed, he will not be part of the group making muratina, but he will be part of the group that is drinking. We experimented with so many things, including making our own muratina. So that tells you how creative people with substance use disorders can be and how bright they are. And they get bored very easily. And you'll find most of them are not office people because they hate routine. Personally, I can't work in an office. You put me in an office 2-3 days, I'll write a resignation letter. Send me everywhere. Today Kakamega, tomorrow Kisumu, the other day Mombasa, and I'll be all over. But office, routine, no. I'm not that kind of a person. And that's why you'll find those who are in the office, they are really struggling and actually bringing alcohol at the workplace. because they'll need to, to keep on recharging. Because you see, the moment the alcohol level goes down, the body now starts demanding. It gets to a point where it's not you who wants to drink. It's the body and the brain that demands the drug of choice. So you find a person has some alcohol in the car, another one in the handbag, another one in the drawer, another one is mixing coffee with brandy, and it's in the office. So that's why I'm saying we need to educate people. And so that we also have an alcohol and drug abuse workplace policy, and I believe employers should actually get that policy. Some companies are paying for their people to go for rehabilitation and come back on full pay. Others will pay for you the first time, the second time, the third time you pay for yourself. If you relapse the fourth time, then you lose your job, but they give you a chance to better yourself. Not like before when, the moment they know you have a drinking problem, and you become so frustrated. And that's actually what happened to my brother. Now the one who follows me, he was working somewhere in Kakamega. And, when they realized he has a drinking problem, they actually sacked him. And then whoever now helped him and got him a job at Kenya Breweries, where break time, there was a tap there where you could actually go and tap some alcohol. Yeah. Where I think it's the room where there used to be the tasters. We have tasters. So then, instead of tasting, they were drinking and getting drunk. So again, he lost that job. And that's when he went to live now in Oshago. And then that's when he started drinking changa. This time I was still very functional, not drinking changa. This time I was still working. So this quiet one is the one who started changa. And I'm telling you, I was so hard on my brother. Because I was seeing his anathaibisha familia yetu si ya watu wa changa. As we're well educated, he was in Jiris High School. My other brother, Jesus, was in Kabete Tech. I was in Gandu Girls. So you can see, and my late sister was in Giriabu. And all these children now find themselves in the addiction world, where nobody can help the other. So my brother, my follower, is the one who went into changa first. And we were very cross with him, me and my other brother, Jesus. Why are you drinking changa? Little did we know we shall follow suit. When I lost my job in Kericho Tea Hotel, then I went to Thika and, met Daktari. We lived together for 5 years. When Daktari died, and then I got married to the German man, and then he died. And I was left with no money. Remember, I had a lot of losses that had not processed, from the death of my father to my sister's death, my niece's death, Daktari's death, and Vena's death, the German man. And here I am without money. I'm used to drinking. I don't have money. And I have a lot of garbage, that I'm carrying. I don't know whom to talk to, because once you lose a job and it's alcohol related, everybody sees you as a failure. So nobody wants to be associated with you, including my own friends. So you go where you're easily accepted, where people without much money go to. And this is the wines and spirits. And this is where you start taking second generation alcoholic drinks. Because this is where you can buy a drink and share. You cannot buy a Tusker and share. One bottle you share with two people. But in wines and spirits, you share. Let us such as modern a sapphire. What I was telling you the other time, we used to call it chura. Frog, because it was just a big sachet that was just dancing on the table. So one sapphire, you could drink two people. In fact, wines and spirits, it's only now that I'm seeing they're selling in tots. Before it wasn't like that. It's either you buy a bottle and or there were some quarters, quarter, half, and then 1 liter, 1.5. So this time around now, it's the cheap alcoholic drinks. You're still there because you haven't gone to changa. You're still there. And this is when now you get introduced to, that's when I got introduced to things like mogoka, where you can, with 5 bob you can get mogoka. With 10 bob you can get mogoka, chewing gum. With 15 bob you can get mogoka, chewing gum, and cigarettes. So with 20 bob you're good. And then you'd sit in a group and you chana for a while, maybe a few hours. This one sachet will not make you high. But here you are among people in this group of mogoka chewing. So you can sit there and chew and chew and chew and chew. And you know, the mogoka, the moment it comes in, inaweka katikati. Mtu anakuja na yake anaweka katikati. So ni kuchana tu. And then you know, mogoka gives you a rush very, very fast. Within a few nini, you start getting the rush, the high, and that high will, you know, be as long as mogoka keeps flowing. And you know, the good thing with the mogoka people is that they are very generous. So, atanunua tena kuja kuwekea ya 3 bob. Kama uko na karatasi yako, and that's why you find these mogoka people, they also always have a polythene bag here. So hata kama si unidunge, anakudungia a few leaves, another anakudungia you a few leaves. And you can stay there the whole day and the whole night. The worst thing with it now is that when mogoka is done, you cannot sleep. And so this will make you now look for something like changa, because mira or mogoka is a stimulant, so you have to get alcohol actually now again to bring you down so that you can sleep. And that's why I said at times when we used to do mogoka, it's when there was police raids. You see, there's no changa. Kukiwa na raid, ya napai, hakuna changa. So if hakuna changa, they've suppressed that changa, isn't it? So what do? Go to the next available drug, which is mogoka. Then there's this other time, the time I told you we drank jetty. Wakati tulikunywa jetty. It's because there was a police raid and there was no changa in the whole of Makongeni. There was no changa in Mangijengo and even Kiandutu and even Kiangombe. So the only thing that was available ni jetty. Where they got that jetty from, I do not know. And actually that's when I vomited water and blood. And that's where I went to rehab. So what happens is that when they suppress one drug or one mood-altering substance, you dash to the next available one. You dash to the next available one. Another thing that has come up now is that they know police raid, the Ngao and the police, they are very strict on the times of operation in clubs and all this kind of thing. So people are brewing some substances in their homesteads. Like now, today, I've just seen that there's some people who died in Meru. 2 are dead, 2 are in critical condition. And they drank in someone's house. So I understand it's methane mixed with water or something like that. So at times you can close the clubs, but people are brewing and distilling in their own homes. And that's why I was talking about public education. So that you know whatever is being brewed there and whatever is in this club, anything that is mood altering is not okay for you. It will mess you up. That's why public education is important. I always say, share the facts and save a life. When I stopped drinking, there's no single pub that was closed. There was no single manufacturer wa pombe alifungiwa factory. I'm not sober today because there are no pubs. I'm sober today because I have the information, I have the knowledge, I have the education that I cannot take any mood-altering substance, not only alcohol, but anything that will alter my way of thinking. So I'm well equipped with information that I cannot take the next available drug. It's not that I went to rehab because of alcohol, that now I can take marijuana. So when you give people the information, clubs can be there, Mirror selling places can be there. Cigarettes will be there. But the person will make a tangible decision not to enter that pub. In my village, we have so many pubs because now actually licensing was devolved. And counties are over-licensing. Why? Because they're making money out of it. According to the Alcoholic Drinks Control Act, that money collected from licensing of bars should go to committees formed by the counties to actually do public education, create awareness, give psychosocial support, and treat and rehabilitate those who need rehabilitation. And that's why I said counties have not put up treatment facilities. So they are collecting the money, but we don't know what they're doing with the money. My brother, he was a very hilarious person. You could never get bored with Jesus. He had stories yenyewe, even used to wonder how did he think about this. Like one day he told me, he gave me, he used to love smoking marijuana. So one day he gave me, and I felt like I've flown, and I landed, and everybody around me flew. So the second time he gave me, I told him I don't want this. Then he told me, you don't know, you'll forever be stupid for the rest of your life. This is the one that gives you a lot of intelligence. So he told me, this marijuana, God put it in the Garden of Eden. And that's why it's called the holy herb. And this is what Adam and Eve smoked. There was no fruit. There was no fruit until they ate. And then they realized they were naked. Ni maze, ni ngwai, ni boza. Ndio walivuta wakaona maze tumechanuka. So, ananiambia gwai, utachanuka maze, utapata ideas, utapata nini. He was an architect. So, alikuwa nachoraga hizo manyumba. So, anavuta because bangi has three major effects. It has a focusing effect. And so, akichora hizo designs za manyumba na nini, he could actually truly focus on every detail on that drawing. And you find most of these artists, most of them actually, wanavutaga ngwai kiasi, wanavutaga. Because it gives them a focusing effect, they will actually go to the detail where mwenyewe with your naked eyes huwezi kuona. Na yeye with his naked eyes, he can see hapa kuna pahali imepita. That's how perfect and that's how good he was with his work. And then he's one person, for example, he comes to your place and you have visitors. He's not one person that will sit and watch you work. No. He'll be in the kitchen, he will cook, he will wash dishes, he will serve the guests, he will make the guests laugh, he'll entertain everybody. And especially he used to love gospel music. He will sing for people. There's one time we went to a club and had a live band of the late Queen Jane. And he went and he said, okay, he wants to be given a guitar. Na alipiga hiyo guitar, watu walifurahi. And I've never seen this guy playing guitar anywhere. Hiyo mabangi zake zilimuonyesha hiyo ni siku ya kupiga guitar. Alipiga guitar paka Queen Jane akafurahia sana. So he was told, next time when we come, we'll look for you. And then I learned this reggae music through him. Because he loved reggae music, he used to glamorize reggae and marijuana. And the way he used to explain it, you would think that something so good. And he would tell me, what reggae music connects you with the higher power. And and you would think that reggae is the best thing in the world. And I started loving reggae. Irrespect that I never took that marijuana of his again. Him used to smoke alone. Mi niliona hii kitu mazee inafanya ni fly. Tuko pamoja. So those are the kind of moments that I miss. When I hear reggae music, I truly miss my brother. Because he made me buy a big system, like when we were in Kericho. And it would be blaring. Because actually, when you drink and smoke those things, it affects your hearing. So the music is always loud. The more you smoke, the more you drink, the more it impairs the hearing. So it would be loud, all this music of Bob Marley, I don't know who. Nilikuwa nazipenda sana because those are the only cassettes that used to play in my house. So I started loving reggae. He started telling me how it connects you with the higher power and how I don't know what. So many things about him. About the reggae music and how it's associated with Bob Marley and Haile Selassie. And he used to teach me a lot about that culture until I started singing like it's good. Apart from the using part of it. I used to tell him, I accept everything else, but mimi kuvuta, no. He was such a hilarious person, and he's a person who would do anything for you. For example, if I am broke, he will go to any length, like when he was still functional, even to get a loan from the bank for you, to help you. He's one person who could mobilize people, wakuchangie kama we ni mgonjwa. He was that person of a very kind-hearted human being. He had a heart for everyone. Yani, si mtu wa kuchukia watu, but ukimchokoza vita ile utapata, utajua Yesu ni Bwana. So even mtu akinichokoza base, kwa Steam, my nickname was Makate. So wewe, mazee unajua Makate ni sister ya Jesus. And my brother, nikimwambia wewe alikuwa ananichokoza, he didn't even want to know why. Or how it happened, even at times whether it was true or not. He would just start fighting the guy, and that guy was super strong. That guy had some extra strength, sijui alikuwa anatoaga wapi. Anakugonga moja chini. Ukiamuka anasema apewa glass. Siku ingine usiwahi guza my sister. So again now when I went down the drain, completely, now when I could not honestly function, including getting off the mattress where I used to sleep. I told you I had sold my bed. Not even actually sold. I gave it to a person, a neighbor there. Nikamwambia kazi yako ni kununulia mi pombe. So I used to sleep on a mattress. My brother had to come, feed me with changa on that mattress at 6:30 a.m. for me to be able to even stand up from that mattress. If my brother misses, nitashinda hapo nikijiharia. I'll vomit, diarrhea, and it's just water because you don't eat. Dehydration. Every time I attempted suicide, my brother was there at the nick of time to take me to hospital. And I asked him, Shons, unajua, I don't understand why I'm taking all this poison and I'm not dying. He told me it's because you're taking rat and you're not a rat, so you cannot die. So go and look for human poison. Wachana na dawa ya panya. We si panya, so huwezi kufa. So wachana na kunja dawa za panya ndio ukufe, because hakuna siku utakufa unless ukue panya kwanza. So those are the kind of jokes that you are so frustrated and you just want to die. You feel like nobody understands you, and here he's creating a joke out of it. Ni vile wewe si panya, that's why you're not dying. Sikule utakuwa panya, pengine utakufa, but since wewe si panya, huwezi kufa. So another time tukaenda base, tukakuta panya imeingia kwa drum. Drum hiyo ya chang. My brother akaniambia mazee, so akasema, unaona hii panya hata haijakufa, ni kulewa, that means hii kitu imeiva. Anatoa panya, anarusha, alafu anasema hii kitu si mbaya. Unaona, because the rat was not dead, it was just, ilikuwa inarusha kamguu kidogo hivi, kesa hii ni kulewa mazee, uiweke tu hapo, itakuwa soba, itaenda. And we drank. So the fact that there was a rat inside there did not stop us from drinking that changa. That is what addiction is all about. When it blinds you so badly that you don't see anything beyond that drug of choice. And that's why we say addiction or substance use disorders is a very, very complex disease. Very complex brain disease. Where you can do crazy stuff that a normal human being wouldn't do. And that's why napeanaga hii story nikicheka, because sasa if I see a rat inside my house, in fact anything that is not in the fridge I'll throw away, because I don't know whether this rat imepitia hapo. And here is a rat inside the changa drum, and na wewe unatoa unatupa na unasema Hii drink ni poa sana. Hii imeiva, jo, cheki. Hata panya imelewa paka yezi tembea. So those are not things that would make us stop drinking. Look at where they go to do raids and they see those underwear, used sanitary pads in those. That won't stop them from drinking. My brother and I think what made us very tight is because we had a lot of things in common. One, we love people. Personally, I'm not that kind of person that judges easily. And my brother was that kind of a person. Based on tribe, based on financial status, based on tribe, based on anything. Everybody is, a person is a person, a human. We take people as human beings. Not how much you buy, how much or where you stay. That is not our thing. And there's one thing our dad taught us. Your best friend is a person of a lower class than you are. Yes. That is the person who can save your life. Not a person of a higher class or a person of the same level because there's competition. This one will bring you down because he doesn't want to be promoted to be above him or to be at his level. And then if you're at the same level, there's a lot of competition. Especially look at it at the workplace. But what about that cleaner you greet every morning? How about that tea girl who brings tea to you and you say thank you and you appreciate? When something is being cooked under there to finish you, that's the person who will save you. Not the person who you're at the same level because this person wants you to go down so that they can climb up. Not the person who is up there because they feel that maybe you know much more than they do. And so they'll try to bring you down. They'll try to mask everything good about you. And I've seen it, not very many years ago, but about 2 years ago. But I won't tell you where I saw it, where somebody tried to bring me down completely. Simply because I'm vocal, simply because I'm saying, this is what should be done, this is not what should be done, and I believe this is better than this. And they think they know, you know more than them, that they feel inferior. So to get you out of the way, they start saying things about you that will make you lose your position, something like that. But who is God? God did not bring me out of the Changa dance to stay in my house, to stay in some office, to stay in some high-end area. God brought me out of the Changa dance to help people. Testimonies is what gives people hope. So God does not remove you from that particular situation for you to keep quiet. Look at Assumpta Wagura. Why is everybody going for ARVs? Because she was bold enough to come out and say, this is who I am, this is what I'm suffering from. Why don't we have stigma anymore on HIV and AIDS? Because of one single lady who stood out and said, I'm HIV positive, and she worked with people who are HIV positive. When we got the ARVs, she visited people at home, gave them hope, encouraged people to go for medication. And now there's no more stigma. Because she didn't keep quiet. So if we all come out of the rehab and keep quiet, how will people know that recovery is possible? Nobody. And one thing, I'm not ashamed of my past. I no longer live there. I laugh at it. And that's why I will not go into that, that sorry state, that poor me, oh me, if I had not gone through addiction, maybe I'd be a CS or No, God did not want me to be a CS. God wanted me to be an ambassador in this campaign and share the facts and save lives. And that's why I can never be an office person. If I stay in one place, who is going to save the life of that person in Muranga, in Nyeri, in where? And that's why I'm free to come even to a media house or a platform like this and share my experiences. So that the person who will watch, irrespective of what part of the world they are in, they will know there is hope. They'll look for me and I'll give them hope and I'll refer them to where they can get help. And that's why I say reaching out to those people is very important. Because at times they think they are the worst people in the world, yet they are not. They are the best. And that's why we say we have to differentiate the person, distance, separate the drug of choice and the person. What is left in the middle is the disease of addiction, is the behavior brought about by the disease of addiction. You see, the person is good. Use positive psychology. Bring out the good in that person. That person was not born an addict. It's something that he learned later in life. He learned there are things called cigarettes, there are things called heroin, cocaine, and all that. And then now we have another big problem of synthetic drugs. Where you don't know whether it's a stimulant, it's a depressant, it's a hallucinogen, it's a what. There are a lot of synthetic drugs in the market now. Where it's just a tablet, you pop a pill. And within no time, you're high. What do you call them? Date drugs. Where something is put in your drink. And you black out. And you're raped. You're gang raped. Things like ecstasy. Ecstasy, what does ecstasy do? It magnifies sound. It magnifies color. And it magnifies sexual feelings. And that's why you find people taking ecstasy with a lot of music in the house, with disco lights and sex orgies and all that, group sex and all that. And those drugs are readily available. Something like LSD, which cannot even be traced in urine or even blood. It's a factory manufactured drug. Things like horohypno, which are used for children, not children, for patients with psychotic problems, are being used by injecting heroin abusers when they have the withdrawals. It goes by the street name of Bogizi. It's blue in color. And when they are having the withdrawals so that they can stabilize. So you remove heroin, Bogizi is readily available. So there's a time in Mombasa when there was no heroin. What they did, the people who are using heroin, both who were smoking and who were injecting, were crushing diazepam, and then they laced the marijuana with diazepam, roll it and smoke it, and they get high for more than 6 hours. We are talking about one tablet which costs 10 bob and a roll of marijuana that costs 10 bob. We are talking about 20 bob. And usually what they do, they will put blue band on top of the Rizla. Rizla is the paper that rolls. Once they put blue band on top of the Rizla, then even when they're smoking marijuana, it smells like someone who is baking something. So you won't get the smell of marijuana. You get the smell of something like a cake being baked, or something, a nice aroma, or chapatis being cooked. So we also have other techniques that young people are using, which is called butt jugging, where they are putting alcohol through the behind using a pipe. So you get high, but you're not smelling of alcohol. You have girls putting heroin powder, rolling a tampon over heroin and inserting up their vagina. So she starts getting in the high in the house. That girl has not gone out of the house. She has not injected, but she's there in the house, very high. We cannot just sit and say, we've done enough. No. We keep on having new drugs coming up, new ways of using. Who would ever thought that you can put a pipe in your behind and someone is pouring alcohol in a funnel and it's entering from your behind and getting you high so that when you go for test, alcohol, it won't show. Who would ever think that something like that can be done? So we have young people who are coming up with new ways of using drugs and crazy, crazy, crazy ways. And it's only by being a friend to these people that you can be able to know the new trends. Otherwise, if you distance yourself from them, you'll never know. The street names of these different types of drugs keep on changing every other time. Our time we knew marijuana is guai, dope, whatever those names, but now it has a totally different name. Unaona? So they keep on changing. So you have to keep up with these people, and you have to keep up with the trends that are emerging for you to be able to educate these people and for you to be able to treat them when they come into the treatment facility. You cannot just sit in an office and say, I'm doing a research over the computer. Whatever is going on in the US is not what is going on in Kenya. Look at what we're doing, for example, the pouring of alcohol and all that. Americans did that in 1920. It did not help. So what they did is they came up with sober farms. They used to call them sober farms, where you'd be taken to that farm with a big house, and all those people with a drinking problem would be put there for a year or two. And they're made to work in the farms. So they were called sober farms. So they saw this pouring of alcohol in drainages and all this, that was not helping. So they were putting them in the sober farms. And then the moment you sober up and you're able to work, you would work, then they would keep the money for you. Then when they discharge you, they would give you all your pay for the years that you've worked there or for the months that you've worked there. Then you go and start a new life. And that is when now Bob and Bill came up with the spiritual step, the 12-step spiritual program. You see? They did not pour alcohol anywhere. They took those people who have a drinking problem in and started in their own homes and started working with them. And this is what created sober houses. Now, so from sober homes, farms, we came to sober houses. And this is what we call rehabilitation centers now. And most of them, what I like about the 12-step program is it has a holistic approach. It addresses the spiritual side of it. It addresses the drinking. It addresses, the whole person. It has a holistic approach. Other than this one where you are doing what medication until at the end of time, and then when the moment you don't have that medication again, you relapse. You see. So I believe in detox, medical detox. But then after that, if a person doesn't have any other underlying mental health issue, then that person should, go through the rehabilitation program without using any drugs to stop craving. Anti-craving is not the way out. It's not a solution. So when you don't have the anti-craving drugs, what happens? Back to your drug of choice. What happened to Jesus is that after I came from rehab, after I did my program, I talked to him. Before, he had refused. He said he's not going. Then I approached another cousin of mine we used to drink with. So that one went. So me and my cousin Isaac went to Jesus. And we told him, you know what? We all used to drink together. Sasa, wewe ndio umebaki. So, but Jesus, when you go to a treatment facility, irrespective of how good it is, and you don't give the therapist something to work on, there's nothing they can do. And I always tell people, the expert in this field is the let me call him addict. Although they say the addict is not a very good word, but that's what the common mwananchi understands, or alcoholic. So if this person doesn't speak up, people have been through very many traumatizing situations. Some actually drink to mask the pain. I've worked with people who've been sexually abused, both men and women. And it's very easy for a person to say, for a woman to say, I was sexually abused or I was raped. But it's very difficult for a man to come out boldly and say, I was sexually molested or I was sexually abused. And so most of the people will take this secret to the grave. And usually what happens is that when that person comes out and maybe sees a person who looks the person who harmed him, it could have been in childhood. That is a trigger. And so what does he do? Dash back to the comfort zone, which is the drug of choice. So we encourage people to actually, speak out. What is it that they've been through in life? You can try to use the best of the counseling skills, but there are things some people will never talk. But someone like me, me, nilienda nikasema yangu yote. So by the time I left the rehab, all my issues had been addressed. I'd gone through them with my therapist. But for men, there are some they can't say. For example, if your wife beats you every day, will you go and tell a female counselor that, you know what? In fact, that female counselor, for her is a trigger. Because there's a woman who is telling you should stop drinking, and there's another one who is beating you at home every day. So there are so many things that if left unaddressed, they can keep, we call them, the AA program calls them the most unfortunate people who keep on relapsing. And also, my brother, Jesus, having been a poly drug abuser, it also becomes very difficult to treat that person. Because one day, he portrays the symptoms of a stimulant, the other day of a hallucinogen, the other day of a depressant, then the other day it's total confusion. So my brother ended up having drug-induced psychosis. And he got TB, and then hakumaliza, that dose, dose ya TB, you're not supposed to take any alcohol. So he would go maybe 6 weeks, drink. So he was put on level 2, continued drinking, level 3. There's nothing they could have done about it. So he was still drinking, he was still doing marijuana. Then with this TB and everything else, his body gave in and he just died. We did the unveiling of the cross this year in August. And when going to his grave, planting flowers and there with the pastor, all those memories came back and I was seeing like we are burying him again, and it took me quite a while, and I had to stay in the village for some time to process that. Yeah, because he was one brother I loved. I loved him so, so much. I actually took Jesus to rehab 12 times because I never gave up on him. I never. If there's someone I never gave up on, it was Jesus. I would take him to rehab. He comes out, he stays sober for 1 year, 2 years, relapses. I take him back to a different rehab, stays sober for 6 months, relapse. And like I said, in AA, we call them the most unfortunate. They are chronic relapses. So at times, you don't even know what triggers them. Poly drug abusers are difficult to manage. So, and even when he died, I asked God a lot of questions. Because we drank together. We did so many things together. He was there for me when I had lost hope. He was there for me when I wanted to die. And he always used to tell me, you cannot die and leave me. Sasa wewe, unadedi mimi wabaki na nani? Ima nune ya kudedi hivi, wewe wacha hii stra. Kama ni pombe unataka, kama ni tei, mazeni mimi nitatafuta do. Kama ni nyumba imekulemea, afadhali niibe. Nikulipie hau. Lakini usijaribu kujidedisha. And he would talk to me, tunakaa naye na saa hiyo tuko base. Anambia sister pewa glass. Ati sasa hiyo ni comforting. Sister pewa glass. Mase kama ni nyumba imekulemea, we ni show. Lakini ukidedi mimi nitabaki na nani? So my brother was my only hope. I felt he's the only person who understood me. So when he died, niliuza Mungu, nimebaki na nani? This is a guy who stopped me from committing suicide. This is the person who always took me to hospital when he found me unconscious. He's the only person who could do anything to save my life. And I've tried everything. So I would ask myself, what didn't I do for him? Because by the time Jesus died, hakuwa anashikanisha. Hakuwa anashikanisha. Hakuwa anashikanisha at all. So even when I took him to hospital, my mom called me. Akaniambia, sasa, your brother ameanza kufura mwili. Nikajua tu, huyo sasa ameisha. So by the time I went, already his skin had already discolored. His hair was falling off. And he just told me, he told me he has 2 lorries and people are misusing his lorries. And since he's not going to make it, I should take care of his construction, whatever. He was just talking about construction. I think, those, I don't know what I can call them. But he was just talking about construction because maybe that was his area. And so we took him to hospital and they said, no, penye amefika, there's nothing they could do. So they just told us, go back with him and just stay with him. Make sure he doesn't get any alcohol, but sasa, there's nothing much we can do. So I took him, I called a friend of mine who runs a rehab, kaniambia mlete. Namlete with any medication that has been prescribed by the doctor. So that's what I did. He stayed 1 day. And so he didn't have clothes when I took him. So the following day he called me through the counselor's phone and he told me, ukumbuke kuniletea nguo na yogurt. I'd bought him yogurt the day before. Kaniambia hizi zile yogurt zingine zote nilikunywa. So unilete yogurt. So the following day, something just told me. I was in class, actually. I was doing psychological training. I was now in college. I went back to college now to do psychology. And I just told my friend who had a car, kindly take me to the rehab. I want to go and see my brother. So nikaenda nikanunua yogurt and everything. And whatever else he needed, nikampelekea because he could not feed. So he just needed more of liquid things and fruits. And fruits now, it's something like pawpaw. He couldn't take anything that was acidic. And I went and I saw him. He just told me, wacha mimi ning'ang'ane, lakini mazee sioni nikitoboa. Kamwambia, Shons, unajua nini? Utatoboa. Nitakuja kesho kukuona. He died that night. Alienda tu after supper. Akaita the other clients, akawaambia nataka tuombe. He knelt, akaomba, akasema mimi nimeokoka. Naomba Mungu anisamehe ile madhambi yote nimefanya. Na muombea hata nyinyi msiwahi rudia pombe because the relapses I've had hizo zimefanya nifike hapa mpaka dawa sikuwa nakunywa. So mi hata nikienda, najua Mungu amesikia ombi langu. So akawawacha akamwambia, mi sitaona news ya saa 3. So wacha mi niende nikalale. Anybody mwenye anataka yogurt, sister ameleta yogurt mob. So he went, alikunywa yogurt, akakunywa nusu. So he slept. So his friends wakasema, mazee vile Mathu aliongea, mi sikusikia ikiwa poa. Wacha tumcheki. They found him dead. Yeah. At 9 he was already dead. He left them at 7, but at 9 when they went to check on him, alikuwa amekufa. And the good thing, aliokoka. aliokoka. And what I would like to tell religious leaders is that some of them had said they cannot bury my brother because he was an alcoholic. Little did they know, alikuwa ameokoka just before he died. So let us not be judgmental. Hujui ile kitu huyo mtu ameambiana na Mungu wake the last minutes. So by the time now we realized that they are saying, they were just giving my mom excuses of they will not be available. This, I told my mom, you know what? I have my own pastor, my own bishop, and he's ready to bury my brother. Because my bishop was following up on mumefika. I said, we don't even have a date because nobody wants to bury my brother simply because he was an alcoholic. And he said, I will bury him. Tell your mother not to worry. The day she sets it, the day we are burying your brother. We are not here to judge people. Let God go and judge him. And then later we hear from the rehab that he had gotten born again. We had not even heard of that, but you know, when we went to get his things, that is when the other clients were telling me how he prayed for them and how he got born again. And he said, mi sitaona news saa tatu, lakini Mungu awabariki na mkitoka hapa msiwahi rudia pombe. Na msiwahi rudia drugs. When they went to check on him, he was gone. He was already dead. And here is a person judging him that he was an alcoholic, and so he cannot be buried, he cannot be taken to church, his body, I don't know what. And so my bishop decided, no. Whether he was an alcoholic, whether he was a robber, whether he was what, as our work is to bury him, let God be the judge. So when I said that, and I made sure I said it on the funeral day, on the burial day, because my brother told me, a week before he had told me, when I die, don't lie. And so sister nimekwambia, when I die, don't lie. Hii maneno ya watu kusema kati alikuwa mzuri sana, don't say nothing like that about me. Because I've messed up people's lives. I've messed up my wife's life. I've messed my daughter's life. I've messed up my mom's life. I've messed up everybody's life. Use my funeral as a platform to educate people, and that's exactly what we did. And when we buried my brother, 5 people went to rehab. 5 people went to rehab because we said exactly what killed my brother. It was drugs and alcohol. We never sugarcoated any information. We never said it was short illness, because that's what people say. When you die, you've been using drugs, you've been using alcohol, you baptize that death as short illness. No, let us say what it is, as it is. It's alcohol and drugs. Because these people, and I tell people, alcohol addiction is like pregnancy. You can only hide it for a while. You can't hide it forever. It will be in the public domain very, very soon. And again, it becomes difficult to help a person who is struggling because the family is in denial. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want even to look for intervention for this person. They try to hide the person. How do you hide an alcoholic? You talk about it in harsh tones. That's why I put off my phone at 8. You know why? After 8, when somebody has left work, when they've taken a bath, when they've taken their dinner, is when they'll call me and tell me about their son who is struggling with alcohol, because they're in their comfort zone. Me, I also want to sleep, but they will not want to talk about it during the day. Because addiction is shame-based. So during the day, you see like everybody behind these walls is listening. So we want to talk about alcoholism and drug addiction in the dark. You even put off your light so that you can be able to talk about your son, your wife, your daughter who is in addiction. You will never get my phone on after 8 because I want people to start coming out during the day and talking about it. This is a disease like any other chronic disease. It's not curable, but it's manageable. It's treatable. And that's why I always say I'm a recovering alcoholic. And I'm proud. I'm a proud recovering alcoholic who can stand or sit in this studio and say as it is. Because that's the only way we can be able to save lives. By giving hope to people who are struggling. By giving hope to family members with a person who is struggling in that family. Not by hiding what we went through. How will people know that there is a way out? The people he prayed with just before he died, they came for the burial. And they were actually the pallbearers. And we gave them a chance to talk about it. How he got born again. And I could see some pastors really getting ashamed of themselves. Really feeling kusema kweli, hapo Shons alikuwa Jesus alikuwa mbele yetu mazee. Tulikuwa tunafikiri watu watei hawana akili. They have a lot of brains. And actually you'll see even when you're in recovery and you talk somewhere in a forum and people will look at you like, is this one still normal? And actually they will sideline what you're trying to say. Because you have a very valid point, but they did not expect it to come from you. And you hear another person from another side talking to downplay what you've just said and running with what he's saying. So yours becomes shadow. He tries to overshadow you for him to shine. Because they don't expect a person in recovery to say something tangible or something useful or something that can help a human being. And I would like to tell people there is nobody, absolutely nobody in this world who is perfect. You might not be having a drinking problem, but you could be this person who sleeps with university students, left, right, and center. You're not drinking, but why are you messing up people's young girls' lives with HIV? You know you're HIV positive. You're a senior person wherever you are, in whatever capacity you're in, but messing the lives of... Let people not look at alcohol and drug abuse as the only thing that is sinful. Everybody is sinful. It's only God who will know who is not sinful when we go up there. You might find an alcoholic going to heaven, and you who's been carrying the Bible from Gong Town, from north to south, actually going to hell. Because we don't know. And we've had cases of people even going to church and being beaten. We've had people who go to worship for fellowship, and you find you're being told to kneel, the pastor to stand on you or to sit on you. I mean, it's better the person who is drinking and he's not hurting anyone. Yeah. So there's nobody in this world who can say, I'm perfect. No. Everybody has their weaknesses and their strengths. It's only that we who drink and drug, our weaknesses mask our strengths at times. Yeah. And our weaknesses are so profound, you know, when we are the influence of alcohol and drugs. But the good thing is that you can turn around. You can turn your life around. Actually, his death actually motivated me even more to reach out to more people and to call upon men to open up when they go for treatment. Because, you know, the moment you don't open up, then the therapist doesn't know what to deal with. So if you've been abused in one way or the other, just talk about it. Be it domestic violence, be it whatever kind of thing you've been through. Because, you know, when we're under the influence, you're very vulnerable to so many things. So it's always good to speak out, you know, to the therapist and know how to deal with it. Because I remember there's one client who was sodomized by, I think, about 5 men. So he was a teacher and he used to drink a lot. So when he went, they sodomized him again when he was sober. So he relapsed. They sodomized again after he relapsed. So he went and bought a rope and hanged himself. So actually that's when we were told, when we went for the burial, we were told he committed suicide. So he died by suicide, not committed. He died by suicide. So it's when we were told he had been sexually abused severally. Because there's a small town near my home there, where men don't like women. They just waylay other men and put you in the maize plantation there. They really like waylaying people with substance use disorders, putting them in the maize plantation and actually molesting them. So I don't know what has been done about that, but it somehow stopped. So I think they were either arrested or something like that. But there was a period where it was happening so much. So this person was not married. He was just a young person from college. And so you can imagine what he went through. He's all alone in the house. He just bought a rope. Not many men empathize with people. So you go to police station and say you were beaten by your wife. They laugh at you and they start calling, afande, ebu kuja usikie story ingine noma sana iko hapa. Ati ebu rudia. Then you start again. My wife beat me very badly. Asema, na ukakubali, kwa nini hukufanya hivi, sijui hukufanya nini, alafu huyu anaenda, afande, ebu kuja usikie story iko hapa. Ati mtu anapigwa na bibi. Next time you're beaten, will you go to that police station? You can't. Even your own friend. Right now, go and tell your friend that your wife beat you last night. Sasa mwanaume mjinga sana, unaweza pigwa aje na bibi. So you will die. There's another man who used to be beaten up by the wife every day. Sasa, then one day the neighbor decided, no, let's go and find who beats who. Because the wife is beating the man and she's the one who is crying. Anapiga nduru. So luckily the sitting room door was not locked. So kuingia akakuta the husband ako chini ya dining table. He's been beaten until that's where he's hiding. And he asked him, my brother, what are you doing under the table? He said, this is my house and I can sit anywhere. And later the wife killed him, stabbed him to death. And at times, the person who is suffering is the last person to know that he has a problem. Is the last person to know that he has a problem. He says everything is okay. He wonders, why is everybody running away from me? Why? Because like I said, the drug of choice blinds you to a point that you don't see anything beyond the drug of choice. So by hiding, you are delaying. You are delaying and you are contributing to this person's death. You are a major contributing factor as a relative who is not taking any action. At times it's because they don't know. At times it's because they know and they ignore. At times it's because they don't have, they carry this don't care attitude because them they are good, us we are bad. And that's why I said there's nobody in this entire world who is perfect. We all have our own weaknesses and strengths. So when you're approaching this person, don't, what can I say? Don't capitalize on the weaknesses of this person. Magnify the strengths in him. Because they've been masked by the addiction. So bring them out. Like this person who came to the Chagaden and told me, you know, Gesare, you are still very beautiful. Gesare, we still remember you when you are a model. Gesare, we remember you when you did this and this. Gesare, we still remember with the kind of clothes and the kind of heels that you used to wear. Gesare, you know, you're a public person and you make friends easily. He said, Gesare, you know what? If you stop drinking, unaona vile hii story yako ya kunyamazisha wanaume kwa club. Turn it around. Nyamazisha watu. The recovery is possible. You are a public speaker. You can do that in churches. You can do that in schools. You can do that. And he gave me so much hope and I said, let's go. He brought out what had been masked. He brought out the strengths where everybody else concentrated on my weaknesses. And that's why I'm still alive today. And that's why I didn't die from rat race like my brother told me, unless I turn into a rat. That's the only time I can die. You see? Because God had a purpose. He saved me because he wanted me to do this. And I will not stop until I die. This story, I'll give it again and again and again and again and again. Because whoever hears it today is not the same person who will hear it tomorrow. The last time we did this show, maybe there's someone who had not started drinking or had not dived deep into addiction. Maybe they were just social users. Now is when they are realizing, or this is the time the family is realizing this person is going down the drain, and they hear me for the first time. You see, like the show that you've been putting on social media lately, the one we did last year. I've gotten so many calls, and I believe so many people are already in treatment facilities who had not watched those episodes then, but watched now a month or two ago, and they're still running on social media. Oh yes. So let's educate the public. Let's create awareness. Let everybody know that addiction is a chronic brain disease. Let's say it loudly on rooftops. Let's go to every media house and talk about addiction. Talk about the disease concept of addiction. The way we did with HIV. Ulikuwa unaona sinema unaweka clip mazee mtu ako na AIDS. Wewe ukiangalia hivyo sex unaitupa mbali sana. Hata wakisema condom, I don't know what, unasema wacha tusari mazee hii kitu. Yani mapicha zingine za kuogofya. Someone's lying on a ngunia, and it's just skin and bone. And you look at this, and sex is the one which is pleasurable, and sex is good and God-given. Is the one that is making you look like this. Wacha ni sari. I'd rather drink, go and sleep. And people should know that the person, people tend to associate addiction or alcoholism with falling and being dirty. No. Personally, I never fell. I don't have a scar at I fell in a mutaro. I don't have a scar that I fell somewhere. In fact, I'm the one who was okotaring others. For all those years, my brother never had a scar ati ameanguka. All the scars I have ni za vita. Because they told me, my dad told us, die in a fight rather than give up in a fight. So you don't mess up with me and expect it to go scot-free. No, that one, it was not in our DNA, me and my brother. But now, after being sober now, sasa hiyo tusisari hiyo. For example, if I'm going to do an intervention, I usually hold a meeting with the family first. Maybe a day or 2 or 3 before I go to the person and educate them on the disease concept of addiction. Let them talk about how much they hate their brother, how much when the brother is not there. They'll tell me he did this, he did this, he did this, he did this, he abused my mom, he abused he fought, he fell, he did that. I said, hiyo ni shadow. What good did he ever do? You hear the father. Ndio amesomesha huyu. Ndio amesomesha huyu. Mama anasema hata ile tanki iko nyumbani ndio alinunulia. You see, he was very good before alcohol. Ndio amefanya nini, stima ndio aliingiza kwa boma. So maybe he's the firstborn. So everything that surrounds that family, he has done something good to each and every family member. So nawaambia, can you remember the good things that he did to you? Before you now close in on the bad things that he's doing now. So what does that tell you? Kama hajakunywa ni mtu mzuri sana. Na kama amekunywa anakuwa mtu mbaya sana. So hapa shida iko wapi? Ni mtu mbaya ama ni tabia zile akonazo wakati amekunywa? Ni hizo tabia ndio hatutaki basi. Sasa let us concentrate on the behavior. When he drinks, this is what he does. So when we are going to approach this person, we are going to talk about the behavior brought about by what he's taking. Not him. He's not bad. He's good. He's your brother. He's your son. He's your uncle. It's the behavior brought about by the drug of choice. So we close in on the behavior, not on the person. The person is still good. It's the behavior brought about by what he's using. So that is what we'll close in on. And everybody to say what good and what they like and what good they remember about him. And they're going to support him. So when the support comes from everybody, now you see he's in an environment which is not hostile. So by the time we go to do an intervention, in fact, that person says, hata usiniwache, ebu nibebe, nipeleke penye unapelekaga watu. And at times they'll tell me, don't carry these people, I don't want to see them. They abuse me every day. Namwambia, it's okay. But that time I usually tell the family, in case he says we go with him, I'll go with him. And then later on, after he's admitted, akipelekwa huko where they sleep and whatever, or at times he's put in a detox unit, then that the time the family can come in. Usually they follow. If you're in an Uber, they usually follow from behind. Yeah, so they stay outside the gate, and then you tell them they can come in. They can come in because we still need to take the psychosocial history of this person. And more often than not, they'll never tell you the truth. So the family will come, the sister will say this and this, everybody will have a chance to talk. Then we come out, once we take the psychosocial history, we come up with a treatment plan based on what you've been told. And then now they start opening up with time. Maybe the 4th session, the 5th session, the 6th session is when they start now opening up. When one person is affected, the entire family is affected. You say, when the addict is high on the drug of choice, the family is high on the consequences. Because when this person gets arrested, who bails him out? When he gets sick, who pays the hospital bills? When he steals something, who compensates? It's the family. So at times, you'll find you have one person who is drinking or drugging, but the entire family becomes totally dysfunctional. Sibling rivalry, because the mother will always side with her child, irrespective of kama ni mwizi ama ni nani, that's still her child. The father now will side with those ones who are not drinking and saying now the mother can even go home. She can go back to her home with this child who is making everybody have sleepless nights by yelling at night when he's coming home. But it's because of low self-esteem and lack of self-worth and the way you treat him as like an outsider. That's why he'll make sure that you don't sleep. When he gets home, he'll punish everybody. Because let me tell you one thing about an addict from my own experience is that I did not understand why I was the way I was. Why I was drinking and waking up to the changad, I did not understand. And then again, I did not understand why everybody else does not understand me. Yet I don't understand myself. And that's why I said it's complex. You see? So I'll make sure I punish them. When I come at night, I'll yell and do everything. So that when they're asking, you want that attention, whether it's negative or positive. Because even when I'm sober, you still talk ill of me. When I try to stop, you still talk ill of me. So why can't I make noise and wake everybody up and make sure you don't sleep? Because the moment I touch the bed, Nico blackout. So you're making noise to who? The following day, I'll wake up and disappear. Before everybody tells me how I woke them up. So actually, what now we have support groups for families called Al-Non. We have Al-Teen support groups for teenagers whose parents are drinking or who are having a drinking problem or a drug problem themselves. And these ones usually, the Al-Teen are organized by the Al-Non. Al-Non is for the family members and significant others. It's a very good support group. And then they are the ones who organize the Al-Teen meetings during school holidays. And then we have now the AA for the people who are drinking. We have the NA for Narcotics Anonymous. And then we have another one called ACOA, Adult Children of Alcoholics Support Group. So they are adult children who never drank but were raised by alcoholic families or families where drug abuse was rampant. But these children themselves, they do not do drugs. They do not drink. They are sober, but with a lot of childhood trauma that they went through. So where firstborns were made to parent their siblings. You see, they never had they had never had time to be children. They have trust issues. They don't trust anybody, including themselves. You might look, umenaona ameweka chakula chumvi, then anakaa kama hajui kama ameweka chumvi, anaenda kutest tena na tena. Yeah, so they have a lot of unaddressed childhood traumas, and so these ones are addressed in that support group. It's called ACOA, and my daughter is a member. My firstborn daughter, she's a member of ACOA. All those groups will find them at Anderson Plaza. All those. But we have All Saints Cathedral, Holy Family Basilica, St. Paul's University Way, Consolata Westlands, Kenyatta University Chapel, St. Francis Catholic Church in Thika, around Thika. If you call the Nakada helpline 1192, it will tell you where you can get a support group. Kulingana na ile place uko. Nakuru we have, Mombasa we have, they are all over. But mostly in churches. And that's why I'm really looking forward to the rollout of the community-based rehabilitation program. What is different about it is it's not expensive. We'll have committees at the county level, sub-county level, ward level, and the village level. So we'll have those committees of experts, and working closely with the CHPs, community health promoters, to be trained on the disease concept, signs and symptoms to look out for, so that they can be able to do early identification and early intervention before the person goes down the drain. Because you see, like every CHP is allocated, is it 100 households or something like that? Yeah. So they can be able, they are on the ground. And then we'll have also one person from Nyumba Kumi, we'll have a pastor from the church around. So we are going to train the faith-based organizations, and then we can work closely with the church so that maybe they can be giving us one day in a week for group therapy, where they can, meet, talk about it. And then, like a church or mosque or a temple, they usually congregate at least once a week. So if these people can be having about 10 to 15 minutes to talk about these drugs, the effects and all this to the congregants, then I believe it will be a way of passing the message at least once a week. No. Yes, and we'll also have a platform whereby the people who are suffering from these substances can also come together and have group therapy. Like the first time I went public, I'm telling you, the phone calls I got, even before I left the studio. Umeenda kuaibisha familia, sijui, what is this? In fact, you don't even look sober. I'm telling you. But the good thing is, my therapist had told me, expect this. But I'd spoken to my mom. I'd spoken to the people who matter. That is my mom and my children and my brother. Even my brother Jesus, he was still drinking. Nasema mazee, unajua nataka natembea na story yako kwa student. Enda uambie mazee tuonekana watawacha. Hata mimi nionekana nitawacha. So I'd already talked to the people who matter, and they had given me the go ahead. Yeah, because I would not want to, something like that. My mtoto wangu ananiona kwa TV na hajajua. So I sat with the entire family. My nuclear family. Yeah. And they told me, you go ahead, you can go ahead. So the people who are calling me aunties and cousins and I don't know what, they do not matter. Excuse me, give me a chance, give me a break. When I used to drink changa, you used to say, Gashari does this, Gashari does. Now I'm sober, I'm trying to give people hope, and you're telling me, now you don't even look sober even today. I said, excuse me, kila mtu na maisha yake. Mazee niko na yangu, acha niendeshe vile nataka. Sasa I'm being motivated by the sobriety. Actually, the joy of sobriety is what drives me, not the fear of relapse. No, it's the joy of sobriety. Knowing I've woken up sober, I am sober. I'm coming to the studio. I'm coming to give a story so that someone can get hope and reach out and say, I saw your story on this platform, and I would like you to actually refer me to a place where I can get help. That is what we are looking for. Not beauty. I know I'm beautiful. At 61, I know I still look good. Oh, yes. And I can still walk with my head high. And I'm still on heels. I still wear heels at 61. There's nothing as good as feeling good about yourself, you know? Because for so long, nobody noticed your beauty. Nobody noticed anything good about you. So feel good about yourself and carry your head high. What I would have wanted most for my brother, and what I really and truly and honestly looked forward to, is for him to be sober. For him to feel this joy that I feel of being sober, of having a relationship with his daughter and his wife. Because by the time he died, they had separated, you see. The joy of doing things he could not do while he was under the influence. And I know if my brother was alive today, he would be here next to me, giving his story, talking about why you should not smoke marijuana, why you should not do all the things that he did, like Chavis. You know Chavis ya Mongesh? He was taking Chavis even. Even I was asking him, hii Chavis ni ya nini maze? Ambia we shauri yako. Nilikwambia we utakaa ukiwa Nongwe. Ngamwambia wacha mimi nikae kwa tei. So I believe my brother, because he was a very intelligent, sharp guy. I told you he was in Kabete Technical. And all his friends were the ones they started taking marijuana with, because he started taking marijuana while he was in Kabete Tech, all dead. In fact, one of his friends died about 3 years ago. And he had also drug-induced psychosis, whereby he had started walking in town naked. Yeah. Son of quite a prominent person. Yeah. So most of his friends are also dead, just like mine. I would really have loved him to be sober, to enjoy this life of sobriety, you know, because I believe we'd do a lot together. You know, you can imagine we did a lot when we were drinking, encouraging one another. So I believe he would be driving me and, you know, doing all this kind of thing. You know, vile tulikuwa tunaona mtu akuwa na dot, tunasema wacha tuchoree huyu. Vile tutachomoa hiyo do, wewe utafanya nini, wewe utaenda umhagu toe do, lushe, mimi nichukue nini, nitafuta change nini. Yani tunakuchorea ukiwa hapo, by the time you get there tumesha accomplish mission in a split of a second. So I know he was a fast thinker. He was a person full of ideas of doing things. Yes. So I would have loved him to be, I would really have loved to have him around, you know? That guy who doesn't give up on anything. My brother never used to give up on anything. So I can imagine now if he was sober, na hiyo akili yake yote mingi and those ideas, you know what he would have done for himself, for his family, for other people who are struggling. Because my brother was, okay, fine, he was not a public speaker. You know, my brother never used to talk when he was sober. You know, he looked like a priest. You know, humble like this. Wacha akunywe. Anzo kukuimbia. Nyimbo zake zilikuwa zinaitwa guruneti. He was just a funny guy. He was a good character. And actually, what people do not know, so at times, a person experiences what we call pause. Pause is post-acute withdrawals. So after a period of time in recovery, you experience the withdrawals, post-acute withdrawals. And someone can start behaving like they've taken and they've not taken. And at times we also have to, there's a lot of learning and relearning in recovery. So at times, people tend to capitalize on what we call state-dependent learning. State-dependent learning is what you learn while you're using the drugs. More often than not, when you stop using drugs, whatever you learned while you are using drugs evaporates. So for example, you see, like my brother, I told you he used to go and play guitar, you know, and do all kinds of crazy things. He was curiosity driven. So when he becomes sober and he doesn't make the jokes he used to make, then you start telling, unajua wewe uliwacha pombe ukakuwa mjinga. Mbona uchekeshi watu? You see? State dependent learning. So when he was under the influence, he could make those jokes. Now he's not under the influence. He doesn't even know what kind of jokes he used to make. So you see, state dependent learning can also be roasting meat. It can be baking. It can be anything. So the moment you stop drinking, you don't even know when to marinate. You don't even know what to marinate with. You don't even know. You forget everything. And then they say, wakati ulikuwa unakunywa, unajua ulikuwa unachoma nyama vizuri sana. Tangu wache pombe, ujinga imeingia. So that does not help that person. So when they come for therapy in the rehab, we also teach them that, about what we call state-dependent learning. And that's the unlearning and relearning and learning. So it's, even the recovery process also is not easy. Yeah. You really have to understand the disease itself for you to be able to help somebody. So we just can't come up of nowhere and say, I'm going to help you, you alcoholic, and you are going to be sober. No. In fact, those are the people I call unhelpful helpers. They come in the name of helping, but they're making the person even worse. They're making the situation even worse. They're called unhelpful helpers who think they know everything. And let me tell you another thing. Addiction is the only field where everybody becomes an expert. I had another person saying, ati wakichemshwa vichwa ya mbuzi, they'll stop drinking. He's been boiling soup for them somewhere in Koinange. They go and drink soup and eat the heads of the goats and the hoofs. That they become sober. They go there because they don't want to spend money on food, so they go to eat and then they go back and drink. And saying that the soup is helping. Another one nilisikia akisema malenge ya kuchemsha. So, everybody has their own theory of doing things, and actually they make the situation even worse. Yeah, that's why we say they are called the unhelpful helpers, who try to help, yet you don't even know where to start. You start telling someone here they'll go to hell. You've never been to hell. Have you ever been to hell? Do you know what it looks like? For you to tell me, I'll go to hell. So they're trying to bring people down because they are struggling with something. It's not the right way. Be a friend to that person so that they can be able to open up to you and tell you why they're using these drugs. Some of the people are not even addicts at all. Some of these people are abusers. They are abusing to escape from reality, from issues they've been through. Like what I said, being sodomized. So the moment you address that issue, the person automatically stops drinking. So not everybody needs to go to rehab. The only thing we have to do is to learn how to listen to them. Be patient with them. Don't tell them, we unaongea nini. Go to a family gathering where there is an alcoholic. And you see how they wanarushiwa maneno. Unasikia, kuna mtu mwingine anaweza kuongea kabla. You put your hand up like this. We nyamaza, we tunakujua. Kuna kitu ya maana unaweza fanya. And maybe this person is putting up his hand to say, I need help. I want to go to rehab. Niliona Mathu kwa shared moments with Justus. And please look for Mathu. Maybe that's what he wants to say. Because there's this person a lady who was telling us, everybody, they had a family get together for them to go and bash their father for drinking. So when it was time now to go out, because these are the things that we say, they are close-knit, that we talk only as family in the sitting room, and you close the windows so that your aunties and uncles don't hear. And yet this man, aliyokotwa kwa mtaro, but when you're discussing him, you are bashing him inside the sitting room with the windows closed and curtains drawn. And then makatoka hapa to join the rest of the bigger family, the larger family, to go and eat meat. When they came to pick their bags, they found their father hanging in the sitting room, amejinyonga. So bashing a person with a drug abuse problem, with a narco abuse problem, you're helping them die. You're quickening their death. And then when he dies, you put there in the newspaper, died after a short illness. Hakuna kitu ya ulevi inaitwa short illness. Addiction is addiction. It's actually long illness bravely born. Yes. They should be writing like that. Let them not stop this short illness thing. Short illness is confusing people and being in denial. Our image, the image of the family. Who didn't see that person abusing people on the streets when they were going home? Who doesn't know your son's voice when he's going home? And when he's causing accidents everywhere, left, right and center. Huyu ni mtoto wa fulani. Hata polisi wakikuja wanaambiwa jina ya baba, wanasema chaende. Because addiction cuts across the board. Addiction is a respecter of nobody. It can catch up with anyone at any time.